Born and raised here in Pasadena. I love growing up in Pasadena. I can truly say that I had a wonderful childhood. I of course wasn't raised rich. I'm maybe not even middle class, but I didn't know it because as far as I knew, we had everything we needed. But I loved growing up here in Pasadena. Everybody that I come in contact with, maybe not everybody, but people, when they ask me about being, where I'm from, and I say Pasadena, like the response I get, like from people is like, "Oh wow, from Pasadena, blah blah blah." Especially people that have always lived like outside of Pasadena or whatever. But I loved it. I don't regret anything about growing up here in Pasadena. If it wasn't that it was so expensive at the time that I moved out, I would have stayed here. But I moved to the valley. But I love it. I'm here every weekend that I can, that I'm in town. I'm here, visiting my mom. My mom and my family are still here. But yeah, I love it. There's nothing I regret about Pasadena at all. The first kindergarten through third grade, I attended Allendale school. After that, fourth through sixth, I attended Jackson Elementary School. My seventh and eighth grade year, my junior high school years, I went to Wilson, and as I said, from there it was to John Muir High School. Okay, my company is called Clark Management, and it's an entertainment management company. Currently have four acts that I work with. Two being gospel artists. One is Ernest Pugh. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he had out two big Billboard charting song. One being "Rain on Us," the other being "I Need Your Glory." He's been nominated for Stellar Awards. He also got he actually got a ASCAP, I believe it was, award for songwriting. And the other gospel artist I have is it's like a group ensemble by the name of Charles Butler and Trinity. And then I have two R&B mainstream artists, one being a guy named B. Slade. He goes by B. Slade now. At the time that he first came into the music industry, he was in the gospel, on the gospel side. He was known as Tone at that time. Now he's more mainstream, and his name is B. Slade. I have another artist by the name of Octavia Pace, who she's R&B, pop genre. So those are the four acts that I currently am working. Started the company like in 2002, and it has its days. I won't act as if it's everything is a bed of roses. I mean, just like with anything, it has its ups and its downs. But I'm willing to hang in there and enjoy it. As I do, because it is something that's mine. So, and I do that full time since for the past 3 years now. I've been doing it. After high school, I started like venturing out, meeting friends and stuff from school and everything. I started like singing from different places with different groups and everything. There was one group in particular that that the guy asked me to be a part of. Went by the name of Higher Dimension, and it was a mixture of two guys, and I think it was like 4 or 5 girls. One time that the group Higher Dimension were asked to sing, and some of the girls weren't able to make it. So the leader of the group at that time, by the name of David Ross, came to me and the other guy that was singing tenor in the group at the time, and he's like, "Hey, we got invited to go do these 2 engagements, but the girls can't make it. What do you guys think about the 3 of us doing it?" So we're like, okay. So we went, we rehearsed, and we did these 2 engagements. Well, again, not looking for anything from it. We were just trying to fulfill an obligation. As it turns out, doing those 2 engagements, they started asking the guys to come and do performances. How somebody heard us and turned us on to this guy that at the time was named Delane Roberts, who was working with Gerald Levert. Gerald Levert was about to be doing the soundtrack for a if I remember correctly, it was going to be a movie kind of on the lines of the name of the group that I was a part of was Volume 3. It was 3 guys. Yeah. We unfortunately we recorded tons of music, but we never brought it to the forefront because there was a lot of politics. We were constantly working, as I said, on music or whatever, but this was during a time when Jodeci was big. It was very, very male group oriented at that time, and this was at a time where the whole sex rage thing with in the music was becoming very popular. And again, us being from church, we were like, how convincing would we be? We don't talk like that, amongst ourselves, so that wouldn't be believable. We would really have to really work hard to try to do that. And the thing with Randy was, oh yeah, dog, but yeah, you have profile, you have I can't think of the guys now. You sing the song "Baby I'm Yours." What were their names? I can't think of it, but they were all from one, all those people. And our thing was, well, it was the 3 of us that sung on that stairwell that got a deal that nobody's ever heard of before. So why now should it be that we have to compromise to be able to, come to move things forward? And finally, after recording for so long, we finally just said, okay, you want a 4th guy, we'll take the time to listen to it, to listen to them. Well, there were people coming in, some of them locally, some of them from different states or whatever. Again, I have to keep saying, we don't know anything. We're dumb. I'm not dumb, but dumb to the music industry, naive. So we're just, we're interviewing people. So after a lengthy amount of time, we finally settled on somebody. So it just so happens that one day they call our manager and they tell him that they're going to drop the group. And they were saying, basically, Tommy's thing was, we've been spending quite a bit of money, which is understandable, and we haven't seen anything. Granted, I said we've recorded tons of music. So if we recorded tons of music and it's in preparation for a record for this particular label, that means the A&R person has this music. Well, you being the president, the A&R person should have played this for you at some point. You haven't heard any music? So it's like, I haven't heard any music, and I hear that the guys are fighting over getting a 4th guy. No, that ain't what happened. Your dude is trying to push a 4th guy off on us, and we went ahead and settled with it. But at that point, it was a moot point because 2 years had passed now. And again, he hadn't heard anything, so basically that was it in a nutshell. I don't really. Because if I hadn't gone through that, I don't think I would be where I'm at now. Did it hurt? Was I disappointed? Yeah, I was. Because again, I'm thinking like, there was a lot of time that was, at that time, I'm looking at it, was wasted. Yeah, they pulled us off our jobs. They paid us to just sing. The label paid us every month. So I was able to buy a brand new car and all this stuff. All that was fine, but I mean, to again go through all of this, we're in rehearsals every day. We fly into Atlanta and different places to record. And then the stuff that you're playing for other people, they're like, oh my God, this stuff is amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then get down the road and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I don't regret it again, because if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I would have never been asked to, I don't believe, to go over to Gospel Centric and help work in the capacity that I did if I hadn't gone through that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what got me into the management side of things was I initially when I was A&R at a company, a gospel label called Gospel Centric. At the time that I was there, we had Kirk Franklin and the Family, we had God's Property, we had Kirk Carr and the Kirk Carr Singers, a rap group, A1 Swift, another young man by the name of Lawrence Matthews, quite a few people. And as I said, I worked there as a A&R, and in working in that capacity, I learned the ins and outs of the industry, totally in that part of the industry. You know, cold turkey. I didn't know anything about. I always loved music, and I guess that's why they, you know, kind of asked me to come and be a part. Initially, I came on as like just part time or whatever, and as I say, I was just working there part time, because at the time that they asked me would I help, I was still under contract with Columbia Records. I was in a group called Volume 3, and so we were in transitioning. We were kind of like on the way out, so I had more time than I had previously, and so they asked me would I come and help, and I did, and so that's how I kind of got started. Well, not kind of, I did get started in the music industry as far as executive, by way of Gospel Centric. Part of my job was to be at various shows with the artists. When we were out of town, they had to perform at, say, conferences or whatever. I was responsible for getting them from point A to point B, as well as searching for new talent for the label. I would get tons and tons of music in, you know, with people that were, of course, trying to get into the industry and want to be recording artists or whatever. Any young person that's trying to get into the business now, first and foremost, I would say that if that is in fact first of all, know that that's really what you want to do. And by all means, don't take what you see from the outside as to, don't let what you see on the outside be your motivation to want to do it. It needs to be something that you know that is deep down rooted within, and your passion that you have, because what you see a lot of times on TV or whatever, or at concerts, that's just part of it. There will be ups and downs. There will be more no's than there are yes. But when you have a passion for it and it's something that you really want to do, the no's won't even, you'll take that and let it roll off, and you'll keep that and use that as your motivation, and keep moving forward, and take time to work at your craft, and not just vocally. But what I'm noticing now is a lot of it is it's no secret, there's no artist development anymore in the music industry. So everybody is sounding like if this works for this person, then let's make them sound like this. So there's not really much individuality anymore with artists, because everybody is biting off of the next person to try to get that next thing or whatever. But take time it's okay to be different. And by all means, it's okay to use your own money to invest in yourself. The days of looking for a deal for a label is pretty much a done deal. So the best thing to do is to invest in yourself, and whatever you have to do to make it work, do that. If that means selling CDs out of your car, singing on open mics or whatever to get your name out there. Do whatever you have to, because that's what it's going to take, and eventually it'll pay off. And you're just investing in yourself, and what better person to invest in but yourself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have another question?
Stephanie Mills is my best friend. We've been friends now for probably like 18 years or so. However, well, ironically, I've always, like, growing up, Stephanie Mills was my girl. So anybody that knew me was like, oh, you can't say nothing about Stephanie because he gonna raise up on you. So again, I always loved her work, but I met Stephanie while I worked at Gospel Centric. Stephanie came over once she got pretty much fed up with the industry on the R&B side. She decided that she wanted to do a gospel record, and so Donald Lawrence, who was working with her, who was a gospel producer and recording artist, brought her over to Vicky, to Gospel Centric, because Donald had done a project with the group called Tri-City at Gospel Centric when they were first getting off the ground. So he brought her over there and they signed her. And it just so happened that, once the record got recorded and everything, and promotion had been done and all that, and she was doing different conferences and everything, my boss knew how much of a big fan of hers I was, so she assigned her to me. So that was our initial meeting, but after she left the company, we remained, in contact with each other, and we just were, we became very, very close. And as of 2 years now, I've been doing background vocals with her on the road. I do the background because she would always, say, because I still, even though what happened with the group or whatever, and I was working at Gospel Centric, I've done tons of recordings with different gospel artists, like Kirk Carr, Judy McAllister, Norman Hutchins, different people. I've been on different projects or whatever. So in going out of town with, like, say, Judy and Kurt, and Judy were the ones that I worked with the most. She would periodically say, you always be going to sing with everybody else. You don't never sing with me. You don't want to sing with me? I'm like, no, I don't. That's not it. And people would say, that's your best friend. Why don't you want to sing with her? I'm like, we're best friends because of our, because of two humans being, being friends. It's the Stephanie Mills, the artist, doesn't play into our friendship. And so when she was saying that, I'm like, well, I don't just take that for granted. That's up to you. If you need me, I'm there. But do your thing. I'm not, I'm there to support you 100%. It doesn't matter. And things worked out the way that they did. And she was like, I actually was just landing. I was on the plane landing back home from being out of town with my artist. And it was so funny that how it happened. The minute that we touched ground and we were rolling up to the gate, my phone rang and it was her. And she said, hey, what you doing? I said, I'm just pulling into, I'm just landing. And I knew when she was best friend, I'm like, what is it? What are you? She was like, I've always wanted you to sing. I'm like, yeah, I'm still not registering. She's like, will you come out on the road with me and do background vocals? I was like, yeah, you need me to come? She was like, yeah, I need you to come and do background vocals, and I want you there with me. And I'm like, okay. So it just started from there, and like I said, it's been like 2 years now. I've been out, and I've been having the time of my life. Well, my future plans, well, first of all, I would like to, of course, see my company grow into a bigger capacity and be able to take on more acts, and the acts that I have, to see them flourish